because I'm not sure of the kind of assignment that I'm gonna prepare for you guys. But I will see if the assignment is going to touch base on the transportation model. So I will be now forced to have a session with you guys where I can explain on how to deal with the transportation model. So I gave you guys also a question whereby you needed to go and do it on yourself. If you encounter issues, you should come and see me. Right. And once you are done with this chapter also, I mean, before we go and write our test, our first test of the semester, we're going to have some revision, right? So that we can polish our understanding of the concept that you need to understand in order to be able to come on top of the test. So I have already booked the venue for the test, and the time is also allocated. So surely before the end of this week, I'm going to send you guys an email in that regard. So whereby gonna have the test. The test day, obviously, you can find it in the learning guide. So the time and the venue. So yeah, today we're going to introduce a new unit. So let me share my screen. I hope you guys can hear me. If you cannot hear me, please let me know. So let me share my screen. I think my screen should be visible on your side. All right, so today we're going to have a discussion around layout strategies. So what is a layout strategy? So we're gonna discuss that and also understand the importance of designing a warehouse. A layout strategy is basically the strategic arrangement of people or employees, equipment, machines within a working environment, right? So that is the general definition that you can give to layout strategy. That's just ensuring that employees, equipment, offices, everything is arranged in a manner in which it promotes the efficiency of employees working there in order to meet their daily target and obviously increase productivity and customer satisfaction. So that is the general overview of a layout strategy. So the specific outline of this chapter. So we're going to discuss the strategic importance of layout decisions. We're also going to talk about the types of layout, whereby we're going to discuss the office layout. We're going to talk about retail layout or supermarket retail layout, warehousing and storage layout, fixed position layout, process-oriented layout, work cells, and lastly, we're going to talk about repetitive and product-oriented layout. So this is the outline of the chapter. So it's also linked to the objectives, right, of this chapter. So what you should understand at the end of this chapter. So I just don't want to waste our times there to tell you about what you should be able to do at the end of the chapter. So for now, we just need to ensure that the outline here, we understand the outline, and from the outline here, we can derive the objectives, right? What you should be able to do at the end of this chapter. Right. So strategic importance of strategic importance of layout decisions says an effective layout can help an organization achieve a strategy that supports differentiation, low cost, or response. For those who were here during the course of the first semester, we touch base on these three concepts, or you can also call them strategies, right? Talked about differentiation, providing a product that are unique, right, from the competitor's product. Talk about the low cost, affordable product or services, and response. How does the company respond to the changes in the market, the demand in terms of supplying product or services to customers? So when we are talking about the strategic importance of layout decision, we basically referring to an approach which that if the company follows that approach properly, the company will able to achieve what you call a competitive advantage. But a competitive advantage can only achieve if the company is able to provide product or services that are different from the competitors' ones, providing affordable services or product, and also responding to the market. This is the kind of changes that can happen to the market. The company is able to fulfill that. And with a proper layout, the company is capable of being the leader in its market. So that's why I'm referring to this as achieving a competitive advantage. The objective of a layout strategy is to develop a cost-effective layout that will meet a firm competitive need. So in the competitive need, it also has the competitive advantage, because if competitive needs of the company are achieved, that means the company has also satisfied the customer's requirement or the market demand. And that can allow the company or permit the company to become competitive, right? So layout decisions. So layout decision considerations. So these are the considerations when designing a layout for your organization. You have to make sure that this considerations are taken into account, right? Are taken into account, because even if the layout is being designed for the company, however, the end product will land in the hands of the customers. Therefore, the design and all that has to have a customer perspective in mind, right? Because at the end of the day, it's how best you serve your customer as a business, if you will be able to prosper or not, be able to make money or not. Otherwise, the company won't be able to sustain itself. So in terms of the layout decisions, these considerations are quite important. We talk about higher utilization of space, equipment, and people. So in every organization, the space that is in the working environment, the machines that the company buys in order to probably speed up activities or processes, and the people that are working there, they must be used at their full capacity. Because if people are not used at their full capacity, meaning that at some point the company is losing, right? The same applies for the equipment. If a company buys machines and don't make the full use of those machines, in other words, the company is wasting money. There are some cost implications to that. Improve flow of information, material, or people. So flow of work or information that is shared between the employees of an organization, or also the flow of materials from receiving to where the material enters the production system until the finished product comes out. Those processes have to be well designed, and the machines have to be well placed in order to efficiently, right, transformed input into output, so raw materials into finished good. And also the information that probably the manager, right, the setting where the manager has to share the information with the employees, and how the employees are also sharing information amongst them in terms of helping each other with whatever project that they don't understand. So assuring that the flow of information is maintained is something that is critical in an organization environment. Improve employee morale and safer working conditions. I'm sure you guys understand this straightforward. You have to ensure as a business owner or as an operations manager that employees are provided with safety in terms of sharing their ideas, right? Sharing the ideas with the manager or with other employees, right? The environment is secure, and so that they can also participate, right, in the building of or in their mandate, right? So these considerations are really important for a business to thrive. And the last two, you have improved customer and client interaction. So at the end of the day, the design of the layout of a working environment has to also be related to how customers will be treated, right? Customers will be treated. Will they perceive the services that the company provides them with in an appropriate way, right? So this interaction is also critical, because at the end of the day, if customers are not satisfied with the product or the way you treat them as a business, it might be quite difficult for you as a business to thrive, because you won't be able to generate the demand because your customers are not happy with what you delivering to them. But again, there are different dynamics here in terms of how customers can perceive the services or the product. So it doesn't limit itself to the design of the layout. There are different dynamics here, but the design of the layout is also one of those dynamics that has to be considered in order for the customers to um, perceive the company as a place where they can go and get their product, or a company that customers can interact with. So in terms of flexibility, this is could be interpreted in different ways, right? So if you're in the setting of the manufacturing industry, for instance, the manner in which machines are placed with the evolvement of technology, right? Probably you have a setting for this year as in your working environment as a business, and technology has evolved. Some machine probably have to be changed, right? Has to be changed, and new machines probably need to come in, or the entire working environment has to be shifted or changed from one position to another. So are you able to do this cost effectively? So this is what we refer to as flexibility, right? And you see, can even take this to McDonald's, for instance. McDonald's, you check that they are constantly, right, innovating, changing the layout of their fast food outlet, right? The working, I mean, the dining area, the grab and go area, things like that. So, how flexible is the company in terms of changing the layout if necessary, and how cost effective that can be, right? So that's why we have the aspect of flexibility here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, or you want some clarification, or you want to participate, all right, or provide some illustration based on what we currently talking about, please feel free to share those points with us, right? So here we are online. As I usually tell you, there could be things that I can learn from you people, can learn from you. So let's share idea when necessary, right? So yeah, if you want to say something, can just stop me straight away, and then you say it, we discuss, and then we move forward. So, as I have already mentioned at the introduction of the chapter, there are 7 major types of layout, and we're going to see this layout one by one. All right, so the first layout that we're going to discuss is the office layout. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this kind of terms or concept, office layout. And you can see on your right-hand side, there is a picture that displays the settings of an office layout, whereby you have employees next to the employee, you have a table and chair, the how do you call it? The telephones and the computers. So all this is put in a way so that employees' productivity can be maximized. So in other words, the company has to do its best in order to provide the employees with what they need in order to fulfill their mandate, right, to probably complete a project. And this is also, look at the design of this office layout, is that employees can easily interact with one another if they are working on a project. If there is something that one employee does not understand, he can easily ask the other employee. And so this is that setting. This is a general setting, because from another perspective, this setting tend to show that these employees may not be dealing with many customers physically on a daily basis, right? Because if you take this and let's go to the bank, for instance, you go to FNB or other banks, you'll find out that the setting of the offices there are a bit different. Why? Because you'll find out that on one side, you have customers coming with their queries and their demands and all that. And on the other side, you have the employees, so sales assistants, tellers, and all that. So everyone, the service provider, and the customers from this display here that you can see are almost on the same side, but I don't know if here they can deal with customers as in the bank. So in the bank, I think it's also for safety reasons, whereby customers are on one side and the service, the sales consultant, tellers are on one side. So, but this is on the display, just a general setting to show that in the office layout, employees are provided with computers, working equipment. So they need that in order to execute their daily activities. So that is what the office layout is all about. Supermarket retail layout. I'm sure we are well aware of this layout, even if probably you don't see it as a layout because you are so familiar with the environment. I'm sure you go to ShopRite, you go to Pick and Pay, you go to Pick and Pay Hyper, especially those who like shopping, you know, you should be extremely familiar with this setting. So when you go to Pick and Pay or ShopRite, the design there is what we are going to talk about. So once you have that, let's say Pick and Pay, ShopRite, and those stores in mind, now we can read what the statement says here. It's an approach that addresses flow, allocate shelf space, and respond to customer behavior. So this is basically is telling you that in this layout, shelves are used in order to place the product, right? In order to place the product. And also the use of space is important or more critical because here the more products are exposed on the shelves, the higher probability for customers to purchase those products. Even if they don't purchase those products on that day, they probably will come for those products. And that's why it says that the objective is to maximize the profitability per square foot of floor space. So again, this goes back to the first statement. The shelves have to be used fully. Imagine you enter into a Pick and Pay supermarket, and you find out that some of the shelves are empty, there are no product. Even yourself as a customer, it looks awkward. And there might be some product that you went there to buy and they don't have. So that is going to create an impression in your mind that apparently this company probably is not managing its inventory properly, right? Or they are running out of some of the product that you need, and you might look elsewhere. And in this business of convincing customers, it's quite difficult once a customer is gone or has found the product elsewhere to come back to you as a retail market. So that is an impression that psychologically that is created in the mind of the customer. But the idea here is for the store, right, or the supermarket store to ensure that shelves are fully used. And once shelves are fully used, products are also well exposed to customers. And this is going to increase the potential of customers buying the product. And the sales and profitability vary directly with customer exposure. I think this also supports what I was just saying earlier. The more products are exposed to customers, the more customers would be interested in buying those products. So let's just try to illustrate this supermarket retail with this this diagram or this figure. So here you have a layout of a store, right? So let's personalize this. So we can assume that this is a Pick and Pay store layout, right? So here, let me take my pointer. Here you have the stands, right? Or the tills whereby you're gonna go and pay and go out. So the manner in which this store layout is designed is strategically designed in order to attract customer or to expose products to customers, and so that the company can increase the purchasing probability. So here, if you see check stand here, this is basically where after buying whatever you have to whatever you need as a customer, you come here and pay and then you go out. So some of the areas here are strategically organized. You see here, you see where you have bakery here. So this is where you get your bread, right? So one of the product that many of us like having on a daily basis. And dairy this side here, probably you have something like milk and things like that. So these are the products that customers use on a daily basis. So the reason why they are placed at the back of the store here is because customers, once they enter, they will have to go to the back there, and in the process of going to the back here, they will be exposed to different or various products before even they reach there, when to get to buy bread, or when they are coming from there from buying bread. Still there are products that are exposed to them that they might find interesting, right, or vital, and also buy in the process. So that is the strategy of having this critical product, right, that are bought on a daily basis, and the peripheral side of the store. So the idea here is just to expose customers to more products that are found within the store. And the other aspect that I wanted to touch base on, you usually see by the tills or next to the tills or on your way to approach the tills, there are usually these kind of products such as small chocolate, biscuits, those kind of sweets that are not too expensive, that are affordable. So they are also strategically put there in order for you as a customer, while you are waiting in the queue in order to be processed, you can easily, pick a product or an item that costs probably 5 rand, 6 rand. So that is affordable. I know it might not be affordable for some of us, but generally speaking, those items are cheap compared to the ones that you will find in the store. So if you go and buy things for 1,000 or 2,000 from the Pick and Pay, and coming to the stand here while you are waiting, if you pick something for 5 rand, I believe that is cheap and affordable for you. So some people might not find it affordable, but it's a strategic way of displaying sweet or product in order to increase the probability of customer buying those products. Right, so that is the idea behind a supermarket retail layout, just to increase the exposure of the product, and also for the store to ensure that shelves are full of product, and those products are well exposed to customers in order to increase the probability of them being purchased by the potential customers. Warehousing and storage layouts. It's a design that attempts to minimize the total cost by addressing trade-off between space and material handling. So here you have two main concepts that you really need to understand when you are talking about warehousing and storage layout. So when it comes to warehousing storage layout in a manufacturing sector, you could have a warehouse whereby raw materials are received from suppliers. In a car manufacturing industry, probably the company will receive steel from its suppliers. That steel need to be transformed into, a different component in order to build the car and all that. So once the raw material such as steel is received from suppliers, then the steel is stored in what you call a warehousing. So once that is stored, how do they manufacture? Yeah, so sorry guys, I was just having an announced visitor there, but it's okay. So what I was saying is that at the receiving uh, uh, um, hand, when a company receives, like I was saying, the car manufacturing industry, a company receives raw materials from its suppliers. Those raw materials are stored in a warehouse. Also, once a car is built, and that is what you call the finished product, those cars are also stored in a warehouse. It could be a different one, but it's still a warehouse. Now, when we are now talking about the trade-off between space and material handling, we are now talking about the two different, right, or the two main cost. So you have cost related to the use of the space of the warehouse, and you have also the cost related to the handling of the material. Guys, please ensure that your mic is off, unless you want to say something. If you want to share an idea, please feel free to just unmute yourself and then you share your idea. If you're not saying anything, it's better you keep quiet, right? Because when I'm talking, there's some interference from your side coming to my side, and it sounds a bit disturbing. Right, so I was talking about two types of cost when we are talking about warehousing and storage layout. Yeah, the first one is cost. We have cost related to the use of the space and cost related to the handling of the material. So let us assume that the company um, is renting probably land or the warehouse, that facility, and the company has to pay monthly installment, things like that, on that facility, warehouse where the product are stored. So when the warehouse is not fully used, right, or is not used at full capacity, there are cost implications, because at the end of the month or the agreed period for the installment, the company has to pay the agreed month, whether the facility is used or not, right? The same way also applies if you go and rent a place, you pay your deposit and then you pay 1 month rent. Whether you stay inside or not, at the end of the month, you have to pay your rent, right? But if you have to pay your rent in a place where you are not fully used, don't you think that you are wasting your money? So the same thing applies in the warehouse and storage layout. So that is what we refer to as cost related to the use of space. Now, material handling is actually the actual operations, right, taking place, whereby product could be shipped from one rack, That's what you call shelves in the warehouse. They are called racks. One racks to another. And in the process, if there are boxes that are being moved, there could be damages, right? Could be damages. If there are cars that are moved from one section to another, there could be damages probably on the paint of the cars and all that. And those products cannot be delivered to the customers like that, right? So those are products that are not damaged. And those damages are what you call material handling cost. So this could also be related to the inspections, right? When a company receives raw materials from suppliers, there are inspectors that are coming to inspect whether the product that is being received from customers, from suppliers, is a good one, it's an appropriate one, right? Usually there are cost implications from the company's perspective. And this is also when the product is finished being delivered to customers or at the finished stage. Inspectors are also called in order to inspect whether um, the product, the finished product, is a good one or it adhered to standard. And this will depend on the environment or on the industry. Like I was watching on news last night about a scandal that is happening in Nigeria between the Nigerian government and the richest man in Africa, named Aliko Dangote. So he recently built a $20 billion uh, um, refinery. How do you call it, guys? It's a refinery. Yes, I got it there. A refinery just to transform the crude oil into usable fuel. So they are having a problem now because the government is telling him that his fuel is not adhering to the standard according to the government version of the event, I mean regulators. And he himself and is some of his employees arguing that statement, saying that that cannot be possible because when we receive the crude oil from their supplier, government regulators and inspectors are there to inspect whether the crude oil that they receive from their suppliers is a good one. So usually for that inspection, there could be some cost implications there that need to be covered by the company. And the same applies also when the finished product is at is almost being how do you call it, at the finished stage of the production, right? Transforming the crude oil into usable fuel. Inspectors are also called in order to inspect, right, whether the fuel that is coming out of the facility is of good standard. And usually there are cost implication from the company's perspective. So again, this could depend on the environment, the industry that the business is in. So in summary, regarding the warehousing and storage layout, you should understand that there are two types of cost. So you have costs related to the use of the space, and you have also cost related to the handling of the material within the warehouse. I hope that is making sense. If it's not making sense, guys, feel free to ask questions. So these are also examples of some of the costs that you can relate to. All right. So the next layout is the fixed position layout. It says product remains in one place. So in other words, there is no movement there. The product must remain in one place. So in other words, this becomes a construction site, not a construction site, let's say a site, not a construction site, a site. So it's a workers and equipment come to site. So you can see on your left hand side, on your right hand side, sorry, you have this room here, whereby there are doctors here that are operating this patient here. So what is happening here is that whatever the doctors will need in order to carry on with this operation, all the equipment that they need must be brought in into this room, right? Must be brought in, not the patient going somewhere, to get operated, right? In this theater, in this room, the materials, the items that they need in order to carry on this operation must come to into this room in order for the doctors to keep their operations going. So that's why you say that workers and equipment come to site. So even if the equipment workers, let's say they couldn't finish the operation in one day, for instance, or after 2 hours, they take a break. Probably they will go home. Uh, Perhaps the patient will remain here. And the next day, they will come again to the same room. So that's why we say that workers and equipment come to site. And one other important thing is that the space is quite limited, right? Because it's in a room, or in a specific site whereby probably some of the equipment, even to channel in, it's a problem, right? So that's why you say the space is limited. And what is also important here is that materials that are needed for this operation to take place, they are needed at different stage, or different materials are needed at different stages. At the beginning where the operation is being initiated, there are probably different materials, items that are needed, right? In the middle of the operations, there are different materials that are needed by the doctors in order to carry on with the operations. And once the operation is done, there also be materials that will be needed at that stage, but those materials were not needed at the beginning. So that is why we say that the materials that is needed here are dynamic, right? Why? Because at each stage, different materials are required, right? And again, all those materials must go to the site, including the employees. So this is just one example. You can talk about uh, um, a building construction, right? Building a house, or I don't know, a ship or something, right? Or building a road, right? So what is happening is that everything that is needed must go where they must go to the site where the project is being undertaken, right? And again, in the process, for instance, of building a house, at the beginning of the project, in order to have a solid foundation and all that, probably a lot of concrete, steel is needed in order to have an appropriate foundation where the house will be sitting on, right? And at the time now where walls need to be built, probably bricks, right, are needed, right? So that is a different stage. Coming to the roof, when everything is fine at the roof, you need not to probably need roof sheets in order to cover the roof of the house. Can you see? So materials are dynamics here, right? At the beginning, different materials are needed. In the middle of the project, different materials are needed. And when the project is done, probably different materials are also needed. Or when the project is at its last stage, different materials are needed. So that is the specifics when it comes to a fixed position layout. In other words, the fixed position is like the name is saying, nothing is moving. It must just remain in one place. Because I remember last year or years before, there was a question whereby you define a fixed position layout, and after defining a fixed position layout, you give two examples. And I have already given you guys some examples there. So in case you encounter such a question. So this is going to be our last slide of, today's lecture. We're going to talk about this and then after we'll be done. Process-oriented layout. Some of the concepts here, we are already familiar with them. We touch base on them during the course of the first semester, for those who were here in the first semester, right? So I think in chapter 7, whereby we spoke about the 4 processes, right? The 4 strategic processes. Guys, I'm sorry if you might be hearing some noises there. Please just give me a second. Let me try to make a bit of order there. All right, so sorry for that. It's quite disturbing when you're talking and then those just coming to you and then you. So I was saying that some of the concepts here are also we have already seen them. So this is just to tell you that chapters in this in your textbook are interrelated, so they are not standalone chapters. So they are interrelated. So some of the concepts that you will see in chapter 2, chapter 7, they might be repeated in another chapter, but from a different angle, right? So that's why here you have a process-oriented layout, and it's also part of the process, one of the process strategy. It's a layout that deals with low volume, high variety production in which like machines and equipment are grouped together, right? And again, going back to the first semester, I think I provided you guys with an example of a process strategy, whereby we spoke about a restaurant in the case of a restaurant. Since the definition is there talking about low volume, high variety production. So in the case of a restaurant, for instance, customers go to the restaurant with their specific or customized requirement, right? Specific requirement. If I'm going to a restaurant with my friend, for instance, right? I'll go to the restaurant and I will probably order a braai meat, for instance, steak, braai steak, right? Braai steak. And my friend probably wants a fried fish, right? Or how do you call it? Chips, for instance, right? So you can see the processes of making these dishes are different, right? So because different customers they come with their own requirement. So it takes time for the company to produce, or for a restaurant to produce in high volume, because of the specifics that need to be incorporated in each of the dishes, right? So that's why you have the concept of low volume and high variety. So in this case now, we are now referring to how the machines will be placed in that working environment of the restaurant, so that the activities can be performed smoothly, right? So that is where the layout strategy comes in order to place the machines, the equipment, and also the employees inside, in order to speed up, right, the process of preparing the food and all that, and delivering them to customer on time. So one of the disadvantages of a process-oriented layout, still in reference to a restaurant, is that some equipment might not be fully used. Because on a specific day, if there are no customer, wanting crispy chips, for instance, meaning that the machine for making chips will not be used on that specific day. So if there is no demand, the equipment will not be used. Or even if there is demand, but if the demand is not that high, in order to fully use the equipment, there is cost implication there. So that's why we say if machines are not used, hey, it's like the company is losing money, right? So one of the advantages of a process-oriented layout is that the company is able to produce a large quantity, no, not large quantity, a variety, right? A variety of items that are specifically requested by the customers, right? So that is one of the advantages of a process-oriented layout. So that is an overview about the process-oriented layout. Next time where we're going to meet, we're going to carry on with the next layout. I don't know what is coming next, but we'll deal with it when the time arrives. All right, any questions? Beautiful stuff. So let's quickly take the attendance register, and then we can leave this space. So let me quickly go to my portal. I'm saying my portal, and I'm also writing portal. All right. By the way, let me so that we don't make this video too long. Let me stop recording. Stop recording. Beautiful.